For many, the prospect of delving into the book of Leviticus can be, well, intimidating. It sits there, often unopened, a silent giant within the pages of the Bible. Leviticus is the Bible's unopened door, a portal to a world that seems distant and complex. It's often perceived as dense, daunting, and let's be honest, often skipped over in our rush to get to more familiar narratives. Yet its placement within the biblical narrative is far from accidental. It's crucial to understanding the story of God and his people. It appears right after the Israelites' dramatic escape from Egypt, a pivotal moment of liberation and divine intervention. They stand on the threshold of a new identity, no longer slaves, but a people chosen and set apart. Leviticus isn't just a dry list of ancient rules and regulations, it's so much more than that. It's a blueprint, a detailed plan for building a society founded on principles that were revolutionary for their time. This society was to be centered on the radical and transformative idea of God's tangible presence dwelling among his people. We often avoid its pages, put off by what seems like an endless stream of ritualistic details. We feel overwhelmed by the seemingly endless descriptions of sacrifices and intricate purity laws, struggling to find their relevance to our modern lives. But to do so, to shy away from Leviticus, is to miss the very heart of the Torah, the core message it seeks to convey. Within these often overlooked chapters, justice, mercy, and holiness cease to be abstract concepts and become tangible realities. They are the very building blocks, shaping daily life, influencing community interactions, and defining their relationship with the divine. The Levites, Israel's dedicated priestly tribe, entrusted with the sacred duties of the temple, used this book, Leviticus, as their comprehensive guide, meticulously following its instructions for worship and maintaining social order. Leviticus provided a structured framework, a pathway for approaching God with reverence and understanding. It also offered guidance for resolving disputes fairly and justly, ensuring harmony within the community. Ultimately, Leviticus played a vital role in ensuring the survival and preserving the unique identity of this new and emerging nation. To truly understand it, to grasp its significance, we must step back in time and immerse ourselves in the mindset of the ancient Israelites. For them, every aspect of life, from the mundane to the monumental, was deeply infused with the sacred, a constant reminder of God's presence. These laws, often perceived as restrictive, weren't viewed as burdens to be endured. Instead, they were seen as life-giving instructions, divine guidance for navigating the complexities of life. They were the key to living in harmony, not only with God but also with each other and with the natural world around them, with all of creation. Leviticus is less a captivating story filled with dramatic characters and plot twists, and more akin to a detailed manual. It's a practical guide for transforming a group of former slaves, recently freed from bondage, into a kingdom of priests, set apart for a divine purpose. A holy nation, a beacon of light and righteousness in a world shrouded in darkness. It's a timeless call, echoing through the ages, urging us to live with reverence, with mindfulness, and with a deep sense of purpose in all that we do. To open Leviticus, to truly engage with its teachings, is to discover the very foundation upon which a community shaped by the divine is built. It's an invitation to understand the principles that guide a people striving to reflect the very character and nature of the divine in their collective life. At its core, Leviticus is about building a just and compassionate community. Beyond rituals, it lays out practical laws for fairness, honest business, care for the poor, and respect for the stranger. Love your neighbor as yourself is not a suggestion, but a legal command here. The law demands proactive love, forbidding grudges and revenge. Even the stranger is to be treated as a native, a reminder of Israel's own history as outsiders. Leviticus protects the vulnerable, mandates fair wages, and prevents generational poverty through the Jubilee year. It's a bold vision, a society structured around justice, dignity, and shared responsibility. Ritual in Leviticus is the language of the sacred, a way to approach God through action, not just words. Sacrifices and festivals weren't empty ceremonies, they shaped the people's consciousness and community. The tabernacle stood at the center, a meeting place between heaven and earth. Rituals provided a safe, structured way to draw near to God's overwhelming holiness. Offerings began with voluntary acts of devotion, then addressed sin. Showing relationship came before atonement. These rituals marked time, taught theology, and reinforced values in a world without books. Sacrificing the best animal taught the cost of sin and the value of giving one's best. Communal feasts built social bonds and celebrated shared blessings. Through repeated participation, the community's identity was inscribed in body and memory. Rituals made the abstract real, shaping a people chosen by God. The central command of Leviticus is clear, resonating through the ages and challenging us even today. It's a call to something higher, a standard that transcends the ordinary. This isn't just a suggestion, it's a divine imperative, the very foundation upon which the relationship between God and his people is built. You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. This declaration isn't merely about adhering to a set of rules, it's about reflecting the very essence of God in every facet of your existence. It's an invitation to participate in the divine nature, to mirror his character in your thoughts, words, and actions. Holiness means being set apart, distinguished from the norms and values of the surrounding world. It's about embracing a different standard, a higher calling that demands a conscious choice to live according to God's principles rather than the fleeting trends of society, distinct in worship, ethics, and daily life. It permeates every aspect of existence, shaping not only how you pray and observe religious rituals, but also how you conduct business, treat your neighbors, and manage your household. It's a holistic transformation that touches every corner of your being. This distinctiveness showed up in dietary laws, providing a constant reminder of their covenant relationship with God. These weren't arbitrary restrictions, but rather symbolic acts that reinforced their identity as a people set apart, chosen for a special purpose. Purity practices and festival calendars, each designed to cultivate a sense of reverence and connection to the divine. These practices weren't just empty rituals, they were opportunities to cleanse the heart, renew the spirit, and celebrate God's faithfulness throughout history, making every act a reminder of their unique identity, a constant invitation to live in accordance with God's will. From the mundane to the momentous, every action became an opportunity to express their devotion and commitment to the covenant. The Holiness Code blends ritual and ethics, demonstrating that true holiness is not just about outward observances, but also about inward transformation. It's a seamless integration of worship and righteous living, where actions speak louder than words. The same section that forbids eating blood, a symbolic act representing the sanctity of life, commands care for the poor and fair treatment of workers, highlighting the importance of social justice and compassion. It's a reminder that holiness extends beyond personal piety to encompass a concern for the well-being of others, especially the vulnerable and marginalized. True holiness isn't just ritual, it's not confined to the temple or religious ceremonies. It's lived out in the marketplace, the fields, and the home. It's about integrity in business dealings, diligence in labor, and love within the family. Israel was called to imitate God's character, to reflect his attributes in their own lives: justice, compassion, and faithfulness. These weren't just abstract ideals, they were practical virtues to be embodied in every interaction and decision. The laws are not arbitrary, they are not random rules imposed without reason. They paint a portrait of the God Israel worships, revealing his heart and his values. They offer a glimpse into the divine nature, inviting us to understand and emulate his character. By living these instructions, by embracing this way of life, the people became a living reflection of God's holiness, a testament to his transformative power. They became a light to the nations, demonstrating the beauty and goodness of a life lived in accordance with his will. Holiness was a total life orientation, a comprehensive approach to existence, not just temple ritual. It was about aligning every thought, word, and deed with the character of God. To be holy was to be a beacon, a source of light and guidance in a dark world, a different way to be human, a radical alternative to the self-centeredness and brokenness of the world. Leviticus calls for a community set apart, a people united in their commitment to God's covenant, by justice and mercy, demonstrating God's love to the world through their actions. It's a call to embody the divine, to become living examples of God's grace and truth. In every aspect of life, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary through the power of holiness. Sacrifice in Leviticus can seem alien, but in the ancient world it was the universal language of devotion. The Israelite system transformed sacrifice into a symbol of covenant, atonement, and communion with God. Burnt offerings meant total surrender. Grain offerings, gratitude, peace offerings, shared fellowship. Sacrifice wasn't just about sin, it was about relationship. The altar was a table of connection, not just a place of death. Sin and guilt offerings addressed breaches in the relationship, teaching the gravity of wrongdoing and the grace of restoration. The Day of Atonement was the annual reset, purifying the people and the sanctuary. The scapegoat ritual dramatically symbolized the removal of sin. Sacrifice was a physical prayer, a way to restore and celebrate life with God. Through these acts, the community learned the cost of sin and the depth of divine mercy. The purity laws of Leviticus, often misunderstood in modern times, offer a fascinating glimpse into the ancient Israelite worldview. These laws, detailed within the book, weren't arbitrary rules but rather a complex system designed to shape their understanding of the world and their relationship with God. They weren't primarily about hygiene, as we might assume today. While cleanliness certainly played a role, the core purpose extended far beyond mere sanitation. They're about symbolism. These laws used tangible concepts to represent deeper spiritual realities. Clean and unclean mapped the world, creating a framework for understanding the sacred and the profane. This system was ultimately about teaching reverence for God's presence, fostering a sense of awe and respect in every aspect of life. Clean meant wholeness and order, a state of being complete and aligned with God's intended design. Unclean, on the other hand, represented a temporary state incompatible with holiness, a disruption of that perfect order. Life and death were the central themes around which these concepts revolved. Things associated with life, such as childbirth and agricultural harvests, were considered clean, symbolizing vitality and blessing. Conversely, death and decay brought uncleanness, representing the absence of life and the disruption of God's created order. Being unclean wasn't inherently sinful or a mark of moral failing. It was simply a part of the natural cycle of life, like childbirth or caring for the dead, experiences that inevitably brought one into contact with uncleanness. Purification rituals involving washing and specific time frames restored readiness for worship, allowing individuals to re-enter the sacred space. The entire system cultivated constant awareness of God's holiness, prompting individuals to consider their actions and their state of being in relation to the divine. This awareness radiated from the tabernacle, the center of God's presence, into daily life, influencing every decision and interaction. Purity laws created circles of sacredness, defining boundaries and establishing a hierarchy of holiness. This intricate system served as a constant reminder to Israel that they lived in a consecrated land, set apart for God's purposes. They encouraged mindfulness, prompting individuals to pay attention to the details of their lives and their connection to the divine. This fostered a culture of treating bodies, food, and life events with reverence, recognizing the sacredness inherent in the everyday. The laws were a daily reminder, woven into the fabric of their existence. They served as a constant call to live in the presence of a holy God, acknowledging His sovereignty in every moment. Leviticus taught that every detail of life, no matter how small or insignificant it might seem, mattered in the sacred order, contributing to the overall harmony and reflecting God's divine plan for His people. How does Leviticus speak to us now? Its rituals may be ancient, but their principles endure. Sacrifice becomes a metaphor for self-giving, gratitude, and service. Purity laws remind us to live mindfully, making ethical choices in what we consume and how we act. Leviticus calls us to align daily actions with spiritual values, treating our bodies and world with care. The tabernacle's idea, making space for the divine, remains relevant whether in personal integrity or communal life. Our modern worship, charity, and justice efforts echo Leviticus's call to embody faith in community. Faith, Leviticus insists, is lived out in relationships and shared life, reflecting God's goodness. Leviticus's call for social justice is as urgent now as ever. Its laws protect the poor, the widow, the orphan, and the stranger, not as charity, but as legal rights. Economic rules like gleaning and the Jubilee year prevent entrenched poverty and promote equity. The command to love the stranger as yourself grounds empathy in shared history. Justice and hospitality are non-negotiable marks of holiness. Leviticus challenges us to examine our own systems. Do they protect or oppress? The book insists that honoring God means building a society of justice, compassion, and radical inclusion. Leviticus, often seen as a wall of ancient law, is actually a profound vision for life with God. It transformed refugees into a community defined by justice, compassion, and reverence. Its rituals and laws are tools for building a society set apart for the sacred. The call to holiness is a call to intentional, integrated living, where every choice has spiritual weight. For Christians, Leviticus is the foundation for understanding Jesus' atonement and covenant. Ultimately, Leviticus is a holy invitation to order our lives around God's presence, to build just communities, and to reflect the Creator's character. Its ancient forms conceal a timeless challenge. to create space for the sacred in our hearts, homes, and world. The invitation remains as urgent and transformative today as it was at Sinai.